Something strange is happening in America. I feel like our country is becoming a country that doesn't think. In some ways, it reminds me of a country that are either a bunch of sheep that are blindly walking after a master or a bunch of lemmings ready to run off the cliff. That's what we're discussing today. Hi, my name is Todd. I want to thank you for tuning one more time back into the Teal Jack channel. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos. And today I'm discussing the Democrats one more time. And in this case, I'm going to be talking about the two knuckleheads that are the senators for the state of Oregon, Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know I am not a fan of these two individuals by any means. I believe over the last at least 3 years, for the most part, they have been spreading lie after lie after lie about our president. They got behind him in the impeachment case, and tried to shove him off the cliff would be a good way to put it. And I don't think these two would know the truth, that if it ever came upon them and hit him in the back of the head, I don't think they'd even recognize it. Because to them, the truth is not truth. Because it no longer fits their narrative. It doesn't fit their mold. And I'm quite frankly ashamed to live in a country that is not proud of its heritage. Now, granted, I understand America wasn't perfect. It wasn't founded perfect. And why is that? Because it was made by a bunch of imperfect people. Because there's only one who's lived perfectly, in spite of what Don Lemming says, and that was Jesus Christ. The only one who lived a perfect life, a sinless life. Somebody that all should model. And I do believe that some of our founding fathers did try their best to model some of the characteristics of Jesus Christ. And I believe Americans today do what they can to try and model the life of Jesus Christ. Now, I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon and say that all Democrats aren't Christians and all Christians aren't Democrats. I'm not ready to say that. But I do struggle every time I hear or see another brother and sister voting for Democrats, especially with what their party holds to. And to me, it's very mind-boggling. And in fact, I even had a discussion in one of my seminary courses with one of the doctors who taught that particular class on that very same issue. Didn't challenge his faith. I believe he's a saved believer. But for the life of me, I can't figure out how or even why he would vote Democrat. Doesn't make sense. Because what the Democrats hold today go against most Judeo-Christian values that I hold to. And so let me get on to what I'm discussing today. And bear with me because I'm going to be looking down because I'm going to read you something. And this is an email that came to me, I believe yesterday, either that or early this morning, from one of my two wonderful state senators. In this case, Jeff Merkley. Dear Todd, by any means, shape, or form, I don't believe he's actually addressing me. I believe this is just a form letter to anybody on his email list. America has never fully embodied our founders' vision of freedom and equality for all. Is that true? Is that a true statement? That we've never embodied freedom for all and equality? I'm not so sure that statement is 100% accurate. And if it's not 100% accurate by itself, then it's deemed a lie. So I would say since the time of the civil rights era, we have tried our best in America to embody equality. And I think we've done a pretty good chance at that. Done a pretty good job at that. He goes on, but throughout our history, thanks to the courage and of countless Americans, we have inched closer and closer to that mission. Okay, I would agree with him on that. We still make strives for that. We still do our best to be equal. But remember, we're dealing with people. And people, by and large, have faults. They have sin in their life. None of us are perfect, and none of us are Jesus Christ. So when we live in an imperfect world, we're going to have imperfect outcomes. But I would say, yeah, we've done better at reaching closer to that state of equality that I think he might be trying to get to. But overall, I would say we've done a pretty good job. And if we haven't, then how come post-civil rights, were there not continued marching on the streets in protest? Why is it now that we're going to take up the mantle of inequality in our country? Unequal pay for women. Women pay more for certain goods in the stores than men do. And all these false narratives that have been proven time and time and time again to be just that, false. But let me read on. Since the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, don't know if I say that name right, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, millions of Americans and thousands of Oregonians in every corner of our state have come together to do that important work by raising their voices and pushing for change. Now, I don't live in every part of Oregon. I live in Portland. And I can tell you, I'm not seeing the whole state jumping on board this thing as he's pushing in this letter, email. I know here in the state of, or the city of Portland, which basically runs the state when it comes to voting, there's been well in excess now of 50 days of violence downtown. And don't give in to the lies the news media is pushing. And don't give in to the lies that the leaders of this city are pushing upon the state, or that the governor is pushing, that the feds showing up has brought in the violence, or rekindled it, if you would. Because I've been here all of those nights, and it wasn't calming down. It's been violent after violent all night long. And every night. Pretty much since the death of George Floyd. Don't get me wrong. What happened to George Floyd was an absolute tragedy and should not have happened. And I believe all Americans believe that. But to jump on the board the lies of Black Lives Matter, that the police are out to get the black man, and that the white man is trying to keep the black man down, it's hogwash. Because it's not true. It's not to say there aren't some bad police officers on the police force. You can find videos of them. People being arrested, pulled over on the side of the road. People being told to get out of the car. They run a dog around the car. And then they put them in handcuffs for police safety. And these people did nothing wrong other than maybe turn a corner and didn't enter into the right lane. You can see those videos. In some cases, people ultimately get arrested and taken off and booked, fingerprinted, ultimately to be released because they had no grounds to stand on the charges they were trying to give to them. So we do know there are bad police officers. Or the cases that seem to come out of Tennessee and Kentucky of people that get pulled over with large sums of money in their car as they're heading down to Texas to buy a tractor. And they were speeding, granted violating that law. And the police do a search of the car and locate the money. Because the person on the side of the road says, I've got nothing to hide, and maybe if I agree to this, I'll be on my way quicker. Come to find out, their money is now confiscated. So I do know we've got bad police. But it's not all of them. And Black Lives Matter and the Democrat Party right now is jumping on board that all police are bad. And how dare you fly a Blue Lives Matter flag? Let me read on. In Portland, that cry for justice has recently been met with the kind of disturbing tactics you might expect from an authoritarian government. I feel like I've been living in that authoritarian government, living in the state of Oregon, where vote after vote I make gets voted down by the people that live in the state. And Kate Brown's power is growing. I look no further than what she's doing under this, quote, COVID crisis. You know, we are all told in the news media that just stay at home. It's for a temporary measure. And they kept us locked down for months. And then they start slowly releasing us, but we still can't gather more than 25 people. And now she's knocked that number down to 10. I guess with the exception of churches, which are still at 25. But she's not allowing any county to go into the next phase where we could maybe have 100 people gather at a church service. And they're purposely keeping us out of church. They say it's for safety, but they don't do this when we have a flu outbreak. They didn't lock us all down when the AIDS crisis took place, and we still didn't know all the ins and outs of how AIDS was coming about when I was a kid. We do now. It's not as scary of a disease because you know the modes of transmission. And if you avoid those, you pretty much avoid getting AIDS. And they do more testing for it, so they know the blood's safe and so on and so forth, and et cetera, et cetera. But right now, here we are living in this state of constant fear. And now our stupid governor has issued orders to wear a mask anytime you're in public. And you have YouTube and Google and Facebook who take down information that they call misleading, even if it's based on fact, even if it comes directly from the CDC. And that is that masks aren't effective. And yet here we are, still being forced to wear masks. I don't, and I won't. I'm not giving in. But I go on. The Trump administration sent heavily armed, unmarked, unrequested federal agents to our state. And these unaccountable, opaque forces have met protesters with violent force. Let me get this straight. This sentence is filled with lies. They're not protesters. They're rioters. They're violating law. Some of them are violating the law by throwing an explosive device. They're vandalizing businesses, buildings, federal businesses, buildings. They're burning buildings. They're looting businesses. All of those are criminal acts. Not to mention the violence they do against others who dare to have a different ideology or an opinion on the matter. They're committing violent acts, and our mayor does nothing. The police force stands down. We've had a history of it. Old man drives around the corner, gets in the way of Antifa. They attack him, beat up his car. Damage is good. Meanwhile, 2 police officers on motorcycles are standing back less than a block away watching it all take place and do nothing. So we know our Portland police do nothing. And my guess is they're doing nothing because they're told from the top dog, who's the mayor of the city, not to do anything. So we've had a history of our police not doing anything. And the violence wasn't subsiding, as the mayor wants you to believe. Because I've seen it on the news every day since George Floyd's death. So that part of Merkley is an absolute lie. Unrequested federal agents. Well, that might be, but they didn't just show up because they wanted to. They were requested by the feds here in Portland to protect their building. So even that statement is a lie. Now, if you wanted to say our local government didn't request them, well, that might be true, but that's not what he says. He says they were unrequested, and that is not true. That's a lie, because we do know from the Department of Homeland Security's head honcho that they came because they received threats that they were going to attack the federal building on a given night. And sure enough, they absolutely did. And that's why the feds were called here. By our own federal agents that were downtown protecting the building. The Justice Center, the courthouse, if you would, the federal courthouse. And these unaccountable, who are they unaccountable to? Because currently I know they're accountable to the federal agencies under which they work and the head department directors and ultimately to the president. So they're not unaccountable. They're just accountable to an agent that Merkley doesn't like, i.e. Donald Trump. So that part of his sentence is a lie. Opaque forces. I guess that's supposed to mean they're unmarked. But the reality of it is, every image I have seen on the news of the federal agents pushing back protesters on the street, albeit with force, granted it should be done, they have had their uniforms clearly marked. DHS, police. Some, I've noticed, said even Border Patrol. You might go, why is the Border Patrol here? Well, because they have a tactical force. Wake up, Merkley. They're not opaque. They're marked. Clearly marked. And in fact, the Director of Homeland Security says they are marked in 6 different locations on their bodies. What agency they are for. So they're not unmarked. Opaque forces have met protesters with violent force. I agree. At least we got one part of that statement true. It has been violent force. And granted, it wouldn't be violent force if they weren't out rioting and committing acts of violence to begin with. And the news media is not telling you they actually broke in the courthouse and attempted to burn it. But no, they're peaceful protesters. Ridiculous. Nightly, they fire munitions and tear gas at protesters. Yeah, that's right. They're rioters. They're breaking up the riots. That's right. And they should be doing that. They're doing their job, protecting the building. And I wish they'd actually stand out further and protect our community completely. But I don't believe they have jurisdiction to do such thing. Although I believe they should. And this is where I disagree with Rand Paul, who I do like in some cases, and his recent statement, I don't agree with him on that. He doesn't think they should be here, and I disagree with him on that. They're here to protect the federal building. What are we supposed to do? Let these idiots in Portland burn it down because it's part of the federal government, part of the Trump administration? I don't think so. U.S. tax dollars paid for that building. And where do they think the money is going to come to rebuild a new one? Should these idiots burn it down? I read on. Using weapons that local police are prohibited from deploying. Yeah, that's right. Our governor has banned the use of tear gas. She's as dumb as dirt as these two people are. These two people being Jeff Merkley and Ron Wyden. Nightly protests taking place, and you ban the one substance that can be used to disperse the crowd. Tear gas is an irritant. Yeah, I know. Burns the eyes, nose, the mouth. Learned all about it. Studied it even. Learned ways to how to treat it when somebody's been encountered by CS gas. when I was a paramedic. So I understand it. But to take away that which could be used to disperse the crowd, absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And so I'm proud that our federal government is using those munitions to break up the crowd and to disperse them. And they should. My opinion is they should use more of it. They have been caught on video violently assaulting a Navy veteran, peacefully trying to talk to federal officers. Might be true. I saw the video, but only what the news media wanted me to see. Didn't see the whole video. But to my knowledge, he was there with people committing acts of violence. Seriously? My brain would tell me the police are launching tear gas. They're getting physical with others. My brain tells me, I'll leave. Not this guy. And if he really was there peacefully, what was he doing with the violent crowd, the rioters? I'm sorry, but I kind of want to say guilty by association. Does it justify him getting his arm hit, getting it broken, and the violence that the federal officer used on him? Maybe not. I guess I can agree that that might have been a little bit too far. But sorry for saying this, but what the hell was he doing there? A riot's taking place and you're dumb enough to stay there? Don't get it. I guess I never will. Shattered his hand. Yes, fact. Hey, we at least got to some facts, Jeff Merkley can finally say. He actually did post some truth. The guy got his hand busted by the federal agents. That's right. He was a Navy veteran. He got those facts right. So we finally hit some truthful facts. A young man was sent to the hospital for facial reconstruction surgery after being shot in the head with an impact munition by a federal agent. Probably true. Maybe another truth, he says. But again, I say, rioter. Expect it. Sorry to be cold, but that's the reality. What are you doing committing acts of violence or associating with people who commit acts of violence? If you choose to go down that road, shouldn't you be expecting a bad outcome? I know I wouldn't stay in a crowd where violent acts are taking place. My parents raised me differently. But I guess these people didn't. They obviously didn't have the kind of parents that I had. Keep in mind, my parents did vote Democrat. My dad on occasion, mom almost every time. So no, I wasn't raised in a Republican home. And I argued with my parents regularly on how they could vote for Democrat and what they stand for. Federal agents in camouflage without identification have also waged a campaign of terror on the Portland streets. Really? So he's calling the federal agents the terrorists instead of where the shoe actually lies, on the feet of the rioters. That's where the terrorism resides. I'm telling you right now, I don't go downtown all that often, but I definitely wouldn't be going downtown at night because I would not feel safe down there. As a conservative, as a Republican, I definitely wouldn't go downtown with a MAGA hat on or any American supporting flag wearing shirts on. I refuse to go down there. Why? Out of fear of being attacked by the mob that rules the downtown area. So who's being terrorized? I'd say the citizens of Portland by these riotous mobs, not the federal agents. Federal agents are down there trying to restore order. But I guess in Merkley's eyes, nope, they're the rioters, they're the terrorists. So another lie. Pulling protesters into unmarked minivans, apparently without any probable cause. Probable cause? They're down there rioting. What more probable cause do you need? They're committing crimes. Seriously, Jeff Merkley, are you that stupid? I guess so. And what they were wearing. Gotta back up a bit. Apparently without any probable cause other than their proximity to protesters and what they were wearing. Right! The mob is rioting. Guilt by association. Remember that? When you go into a bank with a bunch of robbers to rob the building, and the police grab the one who's standing in the corner, we still charge him with the crime of robbery because he was with them. So I guess that part of our US law we throw out because Merkley doesn't like it. I'm sorry. If you're with the rioters and the mob, expect to be arrested. Seems logical to me. Across our state and this country, individual constitutional rights to assembly and demonstrate is under attack. Our constitutional right to assembly is being attacked but it's by the left. We can't assemble in church. So whose rights are really being stomped on? I'm being forced to wear a mask to go buy goods in a store. Whose constitutional rights are being stomped on, Merkley? It is not the morons downtown committing criminal acts. Wake up, you fruitcake. Man, I wish you were voted out of office. But the people of the state seem to be too stupid to do that. The letter goes on, but I'm going to stop there because my blood pressure is going through the roof already. So far, I've read the majority. I'm not reading one paragraph, so I've read you almost the entire letter. And there's been a couple truth statements. One rightly truth, but surrounded in a lie, and another rightly truth surrounded in a lie. And this is what they're pitching upon the American people. Nancy Pelosi, Jeff Merkley, Ron Wyden, Earl Blumenauer, Jerry Nadler, that moron from California, Sawwell, or Mad Maxine. This is what they pitch on us. Lie upon lie upon lie. Yeah, that's what politicians do. But they're not the only ones pitching this. Our left-wing news media, including the local news media, keeps pitching these very same lies. To the point, I can't even watch the news right now. Because I'm tired of the lies being pitched by them. And they're pitching it as truth. And all they're doing is drumming up support. And I believe all of this is a measure to keep Donald Trump from being elected. Therefore, I say, Trump 2020. You want a true America? You want an America to grow again? Vote Donald Trump. If you want us to slip into further tyranny, continue to elect these Democrats to office. And you will see America become a tyrannical state, a tyrannical government like you've never seen before. Because they've already promised that. They've promised higher taxes. They promised to take your firearms away. And we already see through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, they remove people's First Amendment rights. So what's next? Forcing us to take their vaccination that's had no testing, no trials to? This guy won't. So this is a longer video than normal. I apologize for that. Got a little bit heated. I apologize for that as well. My name's Todd. Please tell me what you think. Put your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video, then I ask, Send it to others. Help them to see that maybe they might see some truth to what's actually taking place in Portland. So take care. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Hi, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch one of my videos. Please hit the like button below, and if you would, hit the subscribe link up here, and take some time to watch one of my other videos. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day. God bless, and take care of yourself.